Well, I referred to this scandal as a diabolical masterpiece. It just seems too thoroughly intentional, too thoroughly thought through in a global way to be simply the result of chance or merely human contrivance. The Bible and the great tradition present the devil to us as the enemy of the human race and a particular enemy of the church. And just the way this scandal has affected the church negatively in almost every way, that if you were thinking through how best to undermine the church, I can't imagine a better thing to come up with than this scandal. So I do see indeed the influence of dark powers. You know who else has been very strong on this is Pope Francis, who's always insisted upon seeing the spiritual dimension, that we don't simply analyze this problem sociologically, psychologically, culturally, etc., that we also analyze it in terms of spiritual powers. And I think it is the devil's masterpiece. There's always the fear whenever you talk about the devil and the devil's involvement that people say, oh, that's an easy way out. Oh, the devil made me do it. Well, see, the basic truth is the devil doesn't make people do anything. The devil works through insinuation and temptation and suggestion. The devil requires human cooperation. Am I denying for a second that human beings in their sinfulness have been deeply involved in this crisis? Absolutely not. I use, in fact, in the book that great image from Luca Signorelli. It's in the cathedral in Orvieto that shows the Antichrist, right? And then right next to the Antichrist, whispering in his ear is the devil, and the devil's left arm is insinuated in the vesture of the Antichrist in such a way that it looks like it's the Antichrist's arm, but in fact it's the devil's. It's a beautiful depiction of how this process unfolds. Yes, the devil is at work, but precisely through human minds, human wills, human actions. So I'm not exculpating human beings for a second. We've all been, in a way, massively involved in this, precisely through our cooperation. I would characterize the victims' suffering as horrific, and it's the worst possible face of this whole scandal. Yes, the church has been undermined institutionally in all sorts of ways, but the worst aspect of it is that people have been so thoroughly victimized precisely by those who should be the representatives of Christ on earth, those who should best represent the love and mercy of God, had become in many cases bearers of great suffering to people. That's the deepest scandal of this whole time. Well, I mean, again, not only institutionally, at almost every level. So our capacity to evangelize, to teach, to preach, to serve the poor, I mean, all these ways, the church's credibility has been so massively undermined that our work has been compromised. But think about this for a second. For every person who was abused, think of a young person abused by a priest, the ripple effect that had. So all the members of that young person's family who were affected, all the members of the extended family of that young person affected, all the friends and neighbors who knew about it affected. Now multiply that ripple effect, thousands of times. And what you find eventually is the whole church practically being affected by this terrible outrage. So it's not just if you could count up the numbers of victim survivors. It's more than that. It's this terrible ripple effect. See, in a way, it's the shadow side of our theology of the mystical body, which says that we're all connected. Cells, molecules, organs in this great body of Christ. Well, when there's an attack on the body of Christ, when there's an outrageous insult to the body of Christ, we are all affected. So that's been, I think, maybe the ugliest side of this whole crisis.